All right. Would you put on the happiness ring? Now keep in mind, when you put the happiness ring on, you're not going to feel like stupidly giddy or silly. You're just going to feel like you feel when things are okay, right? You're content, you're happy, you're satisfied as you go about your daily business. And you're just not overwhelmed by anxiety and worries or pain or suffering. You feel like things are okay, right? Like, all right, right now these are good moments when I'm sitting by the river reading a book, or when I'm hanging out with my friends, or I'm at work and we're like getting stuff done, and I feel okay as we're doing it. I don't feel burdened by it. So that's the kind of happiness you'd experience. So what do you think? You put this thing on? I can think of three possible responses here. One is, hell yeah, I'm putting this ring on. Why wouldn't I want to feel content and happy and satisfied as I'm going about my daily business, when I go to the grocery store, when I go to school and sit in class, or I do my homework, or mow my lawn? Like, why wouldn't I want to feel happy, satisfied, and content when I'm mowing my lawn? Is there something about lawn mowing that means it has to be an unpleasant experience? Wouldn't it be better if I could have that be an experience of being happy? Um, there's another response. Another response might be, well, I might use the ring sometimes, but I wouldn't want to use it all the time, because if I'm satisfied with the way that things are at a given moment, then I might lack the motivation to make them better. So if I'm satisfied in my job, but I know that there's a better job I could attain with some effort and sacrifice and some work, maybe I would lack the motivation to attain that better situation if I had the ring on all the time and I was satisfied. So sometimes I'd use it, sometimes I wouldn't. And then, of course, I can imagine there's somebody saying like, hell no, I'm not going anywhere near this thing. It sounds kind of like a drug. And I want to develop fully as a human being and really flourish and realize my potential as the thing that I am. And if I'm constantly content and happy and satisfied, I might not do that. And if I put the ring on and feel that way, I might not want to take it off. So I'm never going to put it on. All right, all three responses are fair enough. But what's interesting about them is they all are rooted in the same desire. And the desire is for the thing that the ring provides, right? So if you're saying to yourself something like, hey, I might use the ring sometimes, but I wouldn't want to use it all the time, or I'm never using that thing because if I'm always satisfied with the way that things are and content with those things, I may not uh, I may not strive towards better situations for my life. And therefore, the ring would actually block me from experiencing greater degrees of satisfaction, contentment, and happiness that would be attained sort of naturally by improved circumstances in my life. So I want to have that motivation to make these sacrifices and make this effort. But what that's really saying is, contentment, happiness, and satisfaction, the things that the ring provides, those are the things that I want, and I want to make sure that I get them and that the ring doesn't actually stand in the way of me getting them. So we're still sort of, whichever of those three responses you have, you're still after the things that the ring provides, which raises an interesting question. Why do we seek contentment, happiness, satisfaction? I mean, really, why do we want those things? And that's a serious question that I want you to think about, and I'll propose to you some answers later. Why do we want these things so much? Okay? And is there a limit to how much of these things we would want? In other words, if you think about the span of your entire life, and you think about the relationships you're going to have, and you think about the jobs you may have, or the things you may do for fun, do you want there to be a ceiling on how content and satisfied you ultimately end up feeling with those things? If you if you enter into a relationship, is there a limit as to how satisfied you want to be with that relationship? I mean, it seems like you'd want to be totally satisfied if that were possible, right? Same thing with your job. You think about your career trajectory here, right? Is there a limit on the amount of satisfaction you want to have with your job? Do you want to have some discontent in your life? Is that what you're striving for? Or is all of the effort you put in, all of the sacrifice you make, is it all in pursuit of as much contentment, happiness, and satisfaction as you can possibly attain? And then I would ask you this. Think about all the things you do in your life, all of them. Is there any one thing that you do that is not in some way motivated by a desire to increase the contentment, happiness, and satisfaction that you experience in your life? Okay. I know you endure hardships. I know you do things you don't want to do. I know you experience frustration and sadness and pain, anxiety. I know that. But isn't it the case that you endure circumstances that bring on those states of mind because you're pursuing greater contentment, greater happiness, and you think the sacrifice is worth it? It's sort of like you go to the gym to work out, but and it's not pleasant, perhaps. Maybe you're not one of those freaks that actually enjoys working out and so on. Anyway, maybe for you, you're like me. Okay, you go to the gym, you slug it out, you do what you have to do. It's not terribly pleasant. You try to listen to music or podcast while you're doing it as a way of distracting you from running on a treadmill or lifting weights or whatever. But you're doing this, you're making a sacrifice and experiencing this less than perfect time in your day because you think there's some payoff, right? That there's going to be some payoff with your health or your physique, but there's something that makes it worth it. And so you're willing to put in this effort. But what if there wasn't? What if there was no payoff? What if it didn't result in any improvement in your health or in your body and in your body's health? If there was no payoff, would you do it? I would guess no. Like, who wants to put up with that? Would you go through a surgery and physical therapy that's really painful if it was going to leave you in the same state that you were in before the surgery and physical therapy? And it's like, well, no. So think about now everything you do in your life, pleasant and unpleasant. Isn't it all motivated by some desire to get to a better set of circumstances where you're more content, more happy, and more satisfied? And I would even push this out to you. Can you think of any living thing that isn't motivated by similar kinds of desires, right? So think about dogs. Aren't dogs motivated, in part, at least, by a desire to be more comfortable, more satisfied, content? And we could just go on down the line, and it'd get kind of weird because we'd start ending up with like, well, does this apply to flies, mosquitoes, trees, bacteria? And in a weird way, I would suggest to you that it does, even with like a bacteria. Bacteria is always looking to improve its conditions. Well, what does that mean? It means it's looking to be more satisfied with the way that things are. Now, it might not experience satisfaction in the conscious way that you and I do, but it's to say that it seems to me that all living things are ultimately after these qualities right here. And I wonder why. What is it about the nature of those things that causes us to devote our existence to a pursuit of them? And that's what we'll start to look at.